Your Story Medicine is a weekly series of conversations and coaching hosted by Jumakae with changemakers and conscious entrepreneurs in the field of personal development, the arts, and wellness. Join us as we explore how storytelling has the power to liberate and get ready to do the work to make your ancestors proud, including the ones before us and the ones who have yet to come. Happy winter solstice! I hope you've been enjoying this podcast so far, and I felt it was time for me to give you an update on the life of Jumakae. I was honestly not planning on doing a solo episode, so this is a part of my own stretch of allowing myself to take up space so that you can also be a part of my healing journey. And I want this to be so much more than just us talking about spirituality or our ancestors, because I also love talking about legacy building and creating a business that serves as the vehicle to your dharma. If you're someone who is still feeling like a total fraud when it comes to embodying your medicine, I have a little secret for you. People are not coming to you for your certifications or your accolades. They are also not coming to you because you happen to be Reiki certified or have your master's degree or even PhD. Instead, they are coming to you because of your story and how it is you make them feel. Your medicine is just one of many modalities that will support others in getting to this next version of themselves. So release the pressure to show up as perfect. People are not looking for perfection. They are looking for relatability. And you don't have to be the expert of one particular subject. You just get to be the expert of your own lived experience. We often give the medicine it is we need to receive the most. And in building a business, that means creating a product or service to fill that gap. I feel like there is a huge guilt when it comes to healers charging for our medicine. And especially if you come from a service background or a social justice background, we tend to hear the chant, people over profits, but I'm curious why it can't be people and profits. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see that I recently shared how I made 6 figures. Woo! But the truth is, I didn't even know what 6 figures was like 3 years ago. I thought 6 figures meant $60,000, and that sounded like a lot to me at the time, since I was making half of that amount working at a nonprofit. And why am I talking about money? Because I feel like if more of us had these conversations, it wouldn't be as stigmatized. We are more comfortable talking about sex than we are talking about money with each other. And I had attached so much shame to money that it prevented me from being able to confront it and therefore receive it. I was even afraid to spend it, fearing that when it left my bank account, it would never come back. So I didn't grow up poor, nor were we entirely rich. And even though I lived in the suburbs, my mom would only take me shopping for clothes at thrift stores, and I was so embarrassed when my classmates got to show off their new clothes. And in the summertime, while all the cool kids at my private school went camping in the woods or rode dirt bikes in the desert, we, on the other hand, would fly back to my mom's village in southern Thailand. Our home at the time were the traditional kinds that still stood on wooden stilts, and our electricity actually came from a car battery whenever we needed to turn on the lights. But otherwise, we would go to bed as soon as the sun went down, and our alarm clock were the roosters that would crow every morning. Water was collected during rain season, and trash was either composted or burned at the side of the road because we didn't have a collector. We also took cold bucket showers and popped a squat to go to the bathroom. Like many immigrant families, my parents would save the money we made here in the United States to send it back home, where my family still tended to the land as farmers. But I have the best memories there. I remember chasing fireflies as a kid, and we would run through the rice fields looking for crabs. I would explore waterfalls and underground caves with my cousins, and fruit trees grew everywhere. So going hungry was impossible. Even though my family didn't have much money, honestly, nobody noticed since poverty was non-existent. We didn't have homelessness, and starvation was confusing because, like I said, if there was fruit trees everywhere and rice fields, it was easy to find food anywhere. And we felt so rich with the abundance of love and nature that surrounded us. Obviously, things have drastically changed since then. The dirt roads have concrete. The traditional house is now replaced with a more Western one that has brick walls. There's electricity and running hot water now. Also, I can FaceTime my cousin because there's Wi-Fi at the house. But over 50 years ago, my mother was the first person in the family to leave her village at 14 years old because she didn't want to be a farmer. She migrated to the big city of Bangkok and supported herself through school until eventually she made her way to the United States in her 20s with my father and became a nurse. I recall a story she told me about a letter that she wrote to my grandmother, her mother, while she was in Bangkok, and it said, "When I'm thirsty, I drink water. When I'm hungry, I drink water." My mother was the ultimate hustler, and it shows in the life she was able to provide for me and my sister. I was really blessed to be able to grow up in a big house, well, two-story house with it was a small family, me, my sister, and my parents. But to my mom, that symbolized something so much bigger because she lived in this tiny hut with at least 10 other people. And of course, my parents wanted me to be a nurse, lawyer, a doctor, or a teacher, something that was stable and that they could easily describe to their friends, but obviously that didn't happen. And thinking back to how I didn't grow up with a huge family like my mom, it makes so much sense why I am so passionate about building community. And it served me in my business because for me, making money wasn't a choice, but a necessity, especially after getting fired from my last job. I don't ever want a paycheck to be used as a threat against me, my values, and my joy. And after learning from my mentors that we are practically selling ourselves every single day, including when we are advocating for causes we believe in or products that we like, it got so much easier to show up. Sales was honestly the byproduct of choosing to be in service first and wanting to just connect with people unattached to whether or not they would even pay me. And also, it is a big skill to be able to see someone's vision when they are having a challenging time, being able to fully see it and believe it for themselves. And it is so magical what happens when you can be in that energy, because manifestation happens at such a quick level, and I am a testament to that. But in full transparency, the money I made this year is not profit yet, since most of that was reinvested back into my business and other coaches I've hired to mentor me. The money also went into hiring my first team members this year that allowed me to delegate the tasks that don't light me up, such as bookkeeping, graphic design, contracts, and organizing emails, instead of me trying to figure out everything else by myself like I did for the first 2 years. And honestly, I am so much more excited about creating jobs for others than I am about making money. That is one of the things that motivates me to continue showing up. The seeds I planted 3 years ago in learning how to run an online business planted the seeds for me to be prepared with helping others transition into this realm during a pandemic. Y'all, I had a Zoom account for like 2 years, and it just blows my mind that today that is the norm of how it is we meet, though I am setting the intention that it doesn't have to be for long. But anyways, thank you so much to my younger self for not giving up, because we never know where the future is going to take us. So the seeds I planted 4 years ago while being stuck in daily traffic for an hour and a half from Long Beach to Los Angeles also helped to birth this podcast today. Podcasts are what helped keep me sane on those long drives. And back then, I would tell myself, oh, it would be so cool if I could one day have one of these. I wanted to be like the brown girl version of Krista Tippett's On Being, but at that time I felt like I didn't have anything important to say, and obviously the past 4 years of my life have given me enough content and things to talk about for a lifetime. I've come to realize that even though I'm not a farmer like my ancestors, perhaps we are being called to be good stewards of money, just like how our ancestors were good stewards of the land. I feel it's a responsibility to tend to it, grow it, compost it, cultivate it, and make sure there's enough to feed myself, along with other people who are contributing to the sustainability of our community and our culture. And it lights me up so much to see others step into their role as healers while allowing themselves to get paid for it. So some of the programs that my clients have birthed this past year include a 5-week program for Latinx women called Writing for Our Ancestors, shout out to Las Doctoras, an Afghan American women's sister circle, Soup for the Sensual Soul for Asian American women, a workshop series to reclaim traditional Filipino songs, boundary setting for women of color, and so many more healing spaces that would have never existed if we, including myself, allowed fear to paralyze us from taking any action at all, or allowing what other people think of us or what we think other people think of us to stop us from showing up to become the ones that we have been praying for. Which brings me to 2021. I had to give myself permission to make a ton of mistakes in my first 3 years so that I can arrive at the clarity I have today. One of the mantras that was birthed from this experience is, fuck up is feedback. You're gonna fuck up. Just accept it and know that it is an initiation into entrepreneurship. So, in case you're wondering, what's next? This past year, I had been talking about opening up my group program to serve everybody starting in 2021. But as I'm closing out another badass cohort of all women of color, the feedback I have been getting over and over again is how healing it is for us to be in this space together. And I realize how crucial it is that we still have our own spaces to process and to heal and to imagine with one another. And it may be because I still need it for myself. I feel like when I first started my business, it came from a place of pain. I was angry at seeing white people in the wellness industry culturally appropriating the medicine of our ancestors while profiting from it. And I was hurt by other women of color. I mean, come on, my last job was an Asian American-led agency, and outside of my paid job in the community circles I was in, I was so tired of call out and cancel culture. And it's like, yes, why can't we all just get along? Or can we at least focus on what it is we're building instead? So now I feel like all of that pain has transmuted into joy because I am focused on this vision that is bigger than my wildest dreams. And today it lights me up to see a group of women of color in one room sharing our dreams with each other without feeling like we're walking on eggshells. And it is so freaking liberating that we don't even need to talk about race because we live in these bodies every day. So this allows us to focus on the futures that we are co-creating. Oh, and imposter syndrome? What if I told you that it wasn't a syndrome, but is a byproduct of white supremacy and colonization? Think about it. I'm not pretty enough, smart enough, tall enough. Pretty enough for who? Smart enough under whose standards? Imagine how the midwives felt in their own villages when the government mandated certifications. My teacher in Thailand was one of the few midwives who passed her exam because she could read and write, while thousands of other midwives throughout the country could not. Now, if they are caught catching babies in their own villages, they are criminalized. So no wonder why we don't have many elders to learn our healing traditions from. That fear is ingrained in our DNA, but so is that creativity and resilience if we think beyond colonization. And that is what we get to reclaim and embody. For clarification, I'm not a midwife, but that experience, getting training in Thailand for the 10 days I was there and planting the seeds to go back, is what inspired me to want to support other birth workers in building their sacred businesses. So why am I sharing this? Because I've made the decision to continue working with women of color, at least inside of my group program, while also including femmes and non-binary folks who, prior to colonization, were the healers and shamans of their community, because we have so much repair to do with one another. Today, my anger has alchemized into radical love for those who have yet to find spaces of belonging. So, if you identify as someone who is feeling the imposter when it comes to connecting with your ancestors or claiming your gifts, you're feeling isolated on your journey and crave the right connections, peer support, and accountability to move you forward, you're exhausted from not seeing enough people who look like you in leadership roles while asking, why not me? And you're ready to gain clarity on your story medicine and what it is you are here to offer to the world, your dharma, by curating your own group program so that you can leverage your time, income, and story, then I invite you to apply to Roots to Rise, my 12 weeks storytelling and business accelerator for women and femmes of color. No more hustling for single sessions and free workshops, by the way, or doing this whole sliding scale thing because you don't know how much to charge. And most importantly, we get to do away with shying away from sharing your story medicine. And if you'd like a taste of this experience, I am hosting a virtual storytelling and business retreat from January 8th to the 10th. It is invite only because I am super intentional about who it is I work with and who it is I share space with. So please reach out to me if this is something that is calling to you so I can also help you make that decision. I don't work with a large group of people, and that's intentional because I'd rather go deeply with a few people at a time than loosely with hundreds, trying to be accessible to everyone. And I trust that those who do choose to work with me will go on to impact the lives of others, and it'll ripple out from there. So if you are also somebody who struggles with wanting your gifts to be accessible, consider having a soul offering and a paid one. So what does that mean? For example, this podcast is my soul offering for those who aren't quite ready to make a financial or time commitment to coaching, but finds inspiration from listening to other shared stories. And maybe you'll find a mentor here who is not me, and that's okay because I truly believe there's enough to go around. Or maybe you'll make new friends in the Your Story Medicine community. To be honest, I still don't know who exactly is listening to this, which is why I cannot emphasize enough how much your review on iTunes means to me. So if you're enjoying this and you're listening on Spotify, please take 2 minutes to go to iTunes and to leave a review, even if it's just a sentence of how this podcast is inspiring you, since this costs $0 and helps us with visibility. And as a gift to you, if you take a screenshot of your review and email it back to me at hello@yourstorymedicine.com before the end of 2020, I will personally gift you 50% off a private coaching session with me where we can work more on your story medicine and your business goals. And you also do not have to be a woman of color to receive private coaching with me. So this is an opportunity for you to receive the medicine it is that you want to give to others and to release any pressure you might be feeling to figuring things out by yourself. Trust me, I have been there, and this is why I have committed to being able to serve people like you who have chosen to listen to this podcast. And as I love to say, do not doubt the seeds that you are planting and what they will blossom into. I am so excited to meet this future version of yourself that is cheering you on from the other side of all of your fears, and know that you are never, ever alone on your journey. Your ancestors got your back, and so do I. Mwah. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you enjoyed it, be sure to subscribe and share it with a friend. Your feedback is a gift, so please leave a review or go to yourstorymedicine.com to continue the conversation, because someone out there is also waiting for your story to be heard. You gotta finish what you started. Hey, hey.